I will never forgive y'all for making the Francis Scott Key Bridge thing racist. Like, how did y'all manage to make this bridge falling about race? This is the mayor of Baltimore. He's been the mayor since like 2020. And yet today, when he has to address the public, he's being called a diversity hire. Like, are y'all okay? This is the tweet that kicked it all off. This is Baltimore's DEI mayor commenting on the collapsed Francis Scott Key Bridge. Like, DEI mayor? Why was that necessary? And furthermore, what are you talking about? Baltimore is over 60% black. In fact, if the mayor wasn't black, that would be the DEI hire.
White folks need to stop with this DEI this and DEI this. Just call me in like your ancestors did. Just call me it with a hard R and we can move on. I can beat your ass, move on about my day. Because at this point, all these folks are talking about the DEI mayor.
You want to beat somebody's ass? I mean, I know it's kind of hyperbole, but you actually said those words. So I'm going to take you for your words. If you say you're going to beat my ass, you know how I'm going to take it? I'm going to take it as you're going to beat my ass, or you plan to beat my ass, so I'm going to prepare myself as such. It's not easy to understand.
Of Baltimore. How he was elected with over 70% of the vote, and it is a majority black city. A white person getting in office in Baltimore would be DEI. So we hear DEI this and DEI this. DEI is didn't earn it. DEI is it. Just call us the N-word. Just say it with your chest. Channel the spirit of your ancestors and just do it at this point, because y'all look a mess. And that's it.
No, yeah, and he's a Democratic liberal, which, like most of these big cities who has Democratic liberal leadership, and most of them are black. And these cities are in the worst shape. They are in the worst shape that they have ever been in. How is that right? Or can we talk about a through line? Let's talk about what makes sense. Bad city, Democratic, black, liberal, male, female, whatever the case may be. It's insanity because you keep doing the same shit. How about doing something different? How about doing something different? And then on top of that, y'all wanted to defund the police, which is the dumbest and frankly the scariest idea in the world. Of course, there needs to be some adjustments and changes and some training as far as the police go. Number one, they need to live in the city limits. That'll change a lot of things. But we'll continue with this brainless rant that she's talking about. Talking about committing violence to people. Yeah, violence solves everything, I guess. That's why we have wars.
The thing with racism is they're not scared to be racist, because they're obviously being racist with these terms that they're using, but they just don't stand on business and say it with their chest. And they should do that. I'm just tired of seeing it, and especially the guy who's on Twitter talking about DEI this and DEI that. Like, his mom is, and people keep bringing up his mom, and he's like, why are y'all bringing up my mom? Why are you being racist and expecting people not to tell you to go dig your mother up?
All right, guys, so what we're supposed to be talking about when it comes to the...
Hold on. When you talk about DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion, just a simple question. Would you want your doctor, and this stuff is not 100% guaranteed either way, but let's just be practical. Can we be practical? Okay, let's be practical. Would you want your doctor to be your doctor because of the color of his skin? Nah, I'm not gonna be nice. Because he was black. Would you want your doctor to be your doctor because he's black? Or would you want your doctor to be your doctor because he, she, / whatever, And this ain't got nothing to do with no transgender pronouns. This has got to do with male, female, the two genders. That's that. It's a shame that I even have to fucking say that. But I'm going to continue. So, would you want your doctor to be your doctor and care for you just because they were black? And I'm talking to black folks because I don't consider myself a black person by the color. I'm a brown person. Or would you want your doctor to care for you because your doctor was close to the top, or maybe even at the top of his or her class? And you have to ask yourself that honestly. Oh, I want my doctor to be black because they identify more with me. Which means you're in trouble. Because they're going to agree with everything that you say. As opposed to a doctor that does not come from your community, they're going to see something different. They're going to be like, well, maybe you really need to think about this, because they're not going to give a fuck about your color. They're going to look at the numbers. They're going to look at the research. They're going to look at your charts. They're not going to look at the fact that you're black. But woo-wee, this can be very long, but let's continue.
Collapse of the Baltimore Bridge, the Francis Scott Key Bridge, is the tragic loss of life and why this happened. Okay, is there going to be an investigation, a thorough investigation into why this happened? Because I personally believe that there's more to this than what we're being led on to believe. Okay, because they're telling us that, hey, the ship lost power and ran into the column of the bridge. I would like further investigation to figure out if that is in fact what happened. Was it completely an accident? Was it some type of cyber attack? Was it a terrorist attack? I want to have a full investigation, okay? But yeah, those are the things that we're supposed to be talking about, okay? Now, I already told you guys that the left was going to try to make this a race issue, and surely they did, because essentially with the bridge on track to be rebuilt, I mean, they're definitely going to rebuild a bridge. The left is already coming out and saying we need to rename the bridge because Francis Scott Key was a slave owner. Now this
So the bridge collapsed. They're looking for at least 6 people that were working on the bridge at the time, construction workers, all of them foreigners, mind you. But we're going to go past that. And so they're already talking about naming this bridge some type of woke bullshit. Is it going to be the George Floyd Bridge, which he had nothing to do with it whatsoever? How about naming it the whatever type of bridge that it is? I don't know, a cable stay bridge or a steel frame bridge, number 1 over I-95 or whatever this thoroughfare is. I've never understood why naming things in the name of people, it doesn't really make a difference or brings any significance to what this structure is. This is virtue signaling, it's throwing you a bone, and 9 times out of 10 is going to be named after some mostly deceased black person. And then black folks gonna be out there on the bridge with the ribbon cutting. Yeah. How does that make your life better?
This is no surprise because these are the same people that want to replace the national anthem with the black national anthem because Francis Scott Key wrote the Star Spangled Banner, right? So again, no surprises here. Unfortunately, however, we're not having a conversation about the left trying to make the Baltimore Bridge situation a race issue because the left is accusing the right of trying to make the Baltimore Bridge situation a race issue. And they're currently melting down over one right-wing anonymous. I mean, this person doesn't even have a real profile picture, right? We don't know who this person is. One anonymous account on X basically commenting that the Baltimore's mayor is a DEI mayor, okay, in response to the press conference that the mayor did, okay? Now, here's the thing. Do I think that it was appropriate in that moment to call the mayor a DEI mayor? No, I do not think that it was appropriate, okay? However, I think that the left is using this one tweet as fuel to light the fire of, well, DEI is the new N-word, right? Because, again, rightfully, DEI has been criticized, okay? Because we do know that DEI has become the new religion of the government and corporate America in higher education as well too, and it's causing a lot of problems, right? I mean, the standards that we're having for ourselves as a society is being lowered significantly because of diversity, equity, and inclusion, and it is going to have disastrous consequences, okay? And the left knows this, but the way they try to wiggle their way out of having a real conversation about DEI is accusing anybody of having any types of criticisms of DEI of being racist. And it just so happens that they're using this one post from an account that, again, is anonymous in order to try to basically make it an act of bigotry to use the term DEI in a negative way, right? This is what they're doing, okay? I mean, this reminds me of the whole crisis king is anti-Semitism thing. I try to tell you guys that a lot of that stuff is all the same, right? What they're trying to do is to police language, okay? And it's just so funny how they're so desperate to do it that they use an anonymous account. Me personally, I don't think that we should take anything that anybody on the internet says that's not willing to show their face, right? If you're not willing to show your face, I'm not saying that you shouldn't have a voice, but I don't think that your voice should be taken seriously because, quite honestly, you don't have skin in the game. So the fact that the left would elevate an anonymous account as some major right-wing voice that said this, which, by the way, nobody else is saying this, okay? You only have this one account that said this, and they try to extrapolate this to, well, oh, see, look, these people use DEI to describe any black person. It is basically the new N-word, which is exactly what the mayor of Baltimore is going to claim here in this interview with Joy Reid, where, again, they expressed fake outrage about one anonymous account on X calling this mayor a DEI hire. But before we get into it, we have to have a word from the sponsor of this video, Noble Gold. Have you guys taken a good look at you? Or you can visit noblegoldinvestments.com and take the first step towards a safer, more secure financial future. And just remember, there's a risk with every investment and there's no guarantee of any kind.
The nation for export of coal, and not just coal for black people, Republicans, coal for everybody. Joining me now is Baltimore Mayor Brandon Scott. I will allow you, Mayor Scott, if you choose to do so.
So while you have people that are dying as a result of this bridge collapsing, we live in a capitalist society. Economics is very important. So we should discuss economics. But so fresh off this particular disaster, should we be talking about economics? I saw that it would cost this port, which contributes to the overall American economy, $191 million a day. Most vehicles that are going back and forth through this port, 850,000 something vehicles. That's all that shit's important. All that's important. But let's focus on some human lives, which is not going to take that long because they're using sonar. They should be able to get these people figured out very quick. This is going to sound so callous. Use sonar. They have an idea of how many people they need to look for. Put all this stuff to bed. We rescued this, whatever the case, 6, 7, 8, 10. And then get to the capitalism. That just sounded so bad. That sounds so bad. But we live in America. we are desensitized to so many things. Even though a loss of life, there's never any desensitization to that. But let's see what fake Donald Trump here on the left with that wig on, and then we're gonna see what the Baltimore mayor has to say, because I don't know much about this person, but I'm gonna be learning a little bit about him right now.
To respond to the tomfoolery and attacks on you for having the nerve to be black and also a mayor.
Oh my God. I don't even know what her question was. Tomfoolery and the attacks on you. And he's a young guy. And he's listening to this black woman that's in a position of power. Okay, I don't know what the reaction is. Let me see how he handles it.
Well, I think, listen, I know, and we all know, and you know very well, that black men and young black men in particular have been the boogeyman for those who are racist and think that only straight, wealthy white men should have a say in anything. We've been the boogeyman from them since the first day they brought us to this country. And what they mean by DEI, in my opinion, is duly elected incumbent. We know what they want to say, but they don't have the courage to say the N-word. And the fact that I don't believe in their untruthful and wrong ideology, and I am very proud of my heritage and who I am and where I come from, scares them. Because me being at my position means that their way of thinking,
and we're not talking about the transgenders in this case, but he's using words like they, them. He's not talking about transgenders. We know who he's talking about, which he takes his cue from this race baiting, blonde wig wearing, orange. I'm not going there. We're gonna continue.
way of life of being comfortable and suffering, and while everyone else suffers, is going to be at risk, and they should be afraid, because that's my purpose in life.
And by the way, you know, the coded racism, before we even knew the nationalities of the men, Maria Bartiromo was out there talking about open borders and trying to somehow signal that they wanted to go after the brown people too, because of course that is their other target. We know that the men who were doing this hard construction work overnight, trying to fix the potholes on this bridge, working very hard, were Latino. And so that's now on the table too. We know that this ship, which came from Singapore, was piloted.
This is MSNBC, and I'm calming myself down because, especially with this lady, Joy, blonde Donald Trump wig lady, why must everything be framed by race? What the fuck does a container ship plowing into a bridge have to do with race? Does that make any sense whatsoever? Did you have a bunch of Negroes pushing the container ship into the bridge abutment to make it fall down? What does that have to do with race? And unfortunately, for this young mayor of an American major city, he's bought into this shit. He can't back out. He can't pivot. He can't turn left. He can't do anything but capitulate to what this orange, I don't know what type of garb she has on, is talking about. This is frustrating.
By a very heroic crew from India whose Mayday call saved lives. Not maybe saved lives, but did. So this is a full-throated attack. But this is also what America is.
See, again, now I want you guys to understand, all of this is coming from one anonymous X account, right? That's where it's coming from. They're trying to now say, well, everybody on the right is saying this, when nobody on the right is saying anything about this guy, this mayor, being a DEI hire when it comes to this specific situation. Now, when you look at Baltimore as a whole, okay, and the fact that Baltimore is not doing great, and it wasn't doing great before him, okay, but I can't say that he's necessarily made it better. Yeah, I mean, look, at the end of the day, I think that there are criticisms to be had about his job performance and the fact that that city still is a disaster, okay? Now, again, is it all his fault? No, because, again, it wasn't that great before he became mayor. But when people use the term DEI, okay, I think that it is appropriate to use that term to describe certain mayors that were elected literally because of their skin color. Like, for example, Brandon Johnson. He's a DEI mayor of Chicago. Why? Because the only reason he got elected is because he's black, right? He's a black male, okay? How do we know that? Well, we know that because, quite literally, black people lined up and voted for him because he's black. They didn't listen to his policies, because they actually listened to his policies, they would have known that this guy was pro-sanctuary city, okay? All of the things that Brandon Johnson's doing that these people are so upset about, he told them, hey, yeah, this is what I believe, on the campaign trail.
Yes,
so they clearly didn't vote for him because of policies. They voted for him because of his skin color. That is DEI. I mean, clearly and obviously, that guy is not qualified to be mayor of.
Actually, with Brandon Johnson, he don't really answer questions. So if you're not enlightened to the way that Brandon Johnson does business, you might have a tendency to vote for him. He don't really answer questions. He goes all around creation and does his stuff. So, for example, someone asked him a border question about something. He said a few things, and then he went into, I have a black wife and I have a black son. Bruh, they asked you a border question. To give you a small example of what Brandon Johnson is about, he answers most questions like that, which is lying, disingenuous, deflection, omitting information. That's how Brandon Johnson answers questions. So it doesn't take that long. Do 10 minutes of research into these people that you think you might want to vote for. And go into it with an open mind. Go into it thinking, I might vote for this person. I might not vote for this person. Seriously, with an open mind. In 10 minutes, now I'm going to say, do 30 minutes of research on these people. And then you know what they're about.
Of Chicago, okay, he's in over his skis, so yeah, DEI, right? And it is not racist, it's just what it is, okay? When it comes to Tiffany Henyard out in Dalton, who, by the way, Joy Reid hasn't talked about, right? She hasn't said anything about
Not a
system
word.
number one out there, DEI. Well, why is she DEI? Well, because quite literally, she got voted into office because she's a black woman, okay?
And then all these people, like with all this DEI and all this type of woke stuff, they speak a certain language. They have all these slogans and all these buzzwords and all these type of things. And once you give yourself a chance to be enlightened to the way that these people talk, just like from the very beginning with this particular thing, I knew she gaslighted this dude, and he, unfortunately, he doesn't know any better. And he's the leader of a major city in our country with a major port, which accounts for almost $200 million. But these are the people that she's in charge of propaganda. He's in charge of a major city.
Hey, because again, if you listen to her talk and you looked into her history, you could clearly and obviously see this woman is not qualified to be leading a town, okay? Not at all. But why did she get elected? Well, it's because she's a black woman, and hey, she was gonna make history, right? We gotta make history. This is what they brag about. Look at Cringe Jean-Pierre, the press secretary for the White House. Clear and obvious DEI hire. In over her skis. Can't answer a damn question. Ketanji Brown Jackson, the Supreme Court. Biden said, hey, I'm going to put you in your position literally because you're a black woman, right? I'm going to pick a black woman. He didn't name any other qualifications. He said, I'm just going to do it because she's a black woman. That is what people talk about when they talk about DEI. And it's not a race thing. Again, that's how you know these people are ignorant, right? They want to make everything out to be a race thing, okay, when it's not necessarily even a race thing. Really what it is, it's a woke thing, okay? You know how you know that? Because DEI isn't just about race. It's also about your sexuality and your gender.
Yep.
For example, Biden hiring Rachel Levine to be the assistant health secretary. Yeah, that's DEI, right? Because the only reason that person is
it's clown world.
in that position is because they're trained.
Have we ever thought about hiring someone because we got this resume, that resume, this resume, that resume? Who's best for the position? We're looking at these names, and when we see Shaniqua, Deasia, Monquifa, we might want to disqualify her. I don't think that's fair, but she might be bringing some drama. So she's going to be out.
We all know that. When Biden hired Sam Brinton, or his administration hired Sam Brinton to be a part of, I don't know, the energy department or something, clear DEI hire, right? Because he's trans. I mean, the dude ended up becoming a criminal. He was a criminal, right? The bag bandit, right? Stealing people's bags in airports. Yeah. So it's not just used to describe people who are put into positions of power because of their race. It's also used.
So if y'all want to look at who some of these Democrat hires, look up Sam Brinton. This clown was stealing baggage from airports and didn't think he was gonna get caught, and he was in a very high level position in the government. This is who they hire.
Describe people that are put into positions of power because of their gender, because of their sex, because of their sexuality, because of all of these characteristics that really don't have anything to do with their qualifications, which is something that the left is doing. But see, they don't want you to criticize that, right? They don't want you to call them out for putting people in power who